G'day YouTube. Today's video is very different from what you're used to me speaking about or watching me speak about. Yesterday, I experienced the darkest moment in my life in a long time, and that's what I want to talk about because it's very important. I have some notes here. I felt like I was brought down to my knees, and even though that didn't happen physically, I had a lot of anxiety going on. I stepped out yesterday. It was a weekend, a Saturday, when everything is supposed to be calm. Stepped out with my wife, had lunch, and went to a few good places. And I told her, I said, I'm not at peace. I said, but mentally, I'm fine. And that changed later. So it was a combination of physical anxiety and mental thoughts. You know, the mind is a very powerful thing, and that's what I was reminded about yesterday. I was in a dark place where I felt like my joy was completely zapped out of my life. Completely. I didn't know what my purpose was for maybe 2 or 3 hours yesterday. And I was by myself. Physically, yes, my wife was at the house. She was working on a few things. But in my mind, I was by myself. Now, the good thing is that I knew I wasn't alone, because if I needed her in that moment, which I did, I would have reached out to her. But I eventually reached out to her after dinner. We ate our dinner, and I said, hey, I have a lot of things on my mind. I need to speak with you. And I want to thank her for having that open mind and for listening to me, because in the moment where I needed her yesterday, she was there for me, and she gave me some good words of wisdom. And she gave me that calm and that peace that I'm used to. I would say 80% of the time I'm optimistic. I've talked about outlook. Very optimistic. And maybe 10 or 20% of the time I have a challenge just like everybody else. But yesterday I was reminded that I am a work in progress, just like you. I will always be a work in progress, even though I've figured out a lot of things, and that's a good thing, but I am always going to be a work in progress. The darkness that I experienced yesterday was probably something that I didn't experience since I was a boy and a teenager. My teenage years were not the easiest, and that's like I made my own life. But since then, it's been good. And yes, there has been challenges, but that was something that I had never experienced, what I experienced yesterday, that loss of joy, that loss of purpose. I felt like I was alone, even though I knew I wasn't alone. So when I reached out to my wife, or to the person that I needed yesterday, she was there for me. And she gave me what I needed, which was that, again, like I said, that calmness, that peace, that joy, just listening to me for a few minutes and giving me good information. And I realized that the enemy was trying to take me down to my knees or defeat me. And I realized that today. I didn't realize that yesterday until my wife brought it up. And again today. And the funny thing is that this morning, Sunday, I had the privilege and honor to baptize one of our friends. She's my daughter's age and my daughter's friend. So we went to that, and she thanked me, and I'll show you that footage at the end of this video. She thanked me for doing it. This is a friend of my daughter who stayed with us for about 6 months. We were there for her, but I told her today that I needed this more, that reassurance of my purpose in life, of continuing to be a work in progress. I will always be a work in progress, like I said just a few moments ago. When I say the enemy, that could mean a lot of things. The enemy is trying to take over, trying to defeat us. That could be a lot of things. I'm going to have you fill in the blank. That could be doubt. That could be anger, frustration. That could be the devil. That could be whatever you want to add as the enemy. Whatever, and sometimes it's ourselves. Have you realized that sometimes we're our own worst enemy? And you have to be aware of that. I have to be aware of that of myself. I think things happen for a reason. Yesterday happened for a reason, and I was not at peace. First physically, and then eventually mentally, until I had the opportunity to speak with my wife. Things happen for a reason, and I'm aware of that. And that experience yesterday is going to make me a better person, because I was reminded about how life can be sometimes. And I was not defeated, even though I felt defeated, or I felt lost. And it was a reminder that we're going to have some challenges sometimes, and how are we going to deal with that? What's the way ahead? The way ahead for me is faith. Definitely have faith in God and faith in a lot of other things as well. I'm going to have humor, and I'm going to take an inventory of myself and see what I need to work on for myself. If I can be a better Hugo, I can be a better person, a better friend, a better husband, a father, son, for the people that are around with me. This is a very important message, because I think sometimes a lot of people, to include myself, may feel defeated. I don't feel defeated often. I'll be upfront about that. But I'm human, and I will get or feel defeated once in a while. And yesterday was that example. Peace and joy are not words that I just throw out there. They have a lot of significance and background and meaning to me. I love peace of mind. I love joy. I love humor. I love humility. And that's who I am trying to be. Going back to today, I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to baptize our friend. I'd never done that before. I was baptized in Hawaii when I was stationed out there. And it was a reminder. The message, we went to a different church because our friend goes to a different church. The message was about being lost. And what better time than today for me to listen to that, because I was lost yesterday. And I felt like the pastor was speaking to me directly. The good thing is that the pastor was speaking to all of us. And hopefully, if you forget everything, remember that if you ever feel defeated or lost or frustrated or angry or doubtful, catch that. Because I have to do the exact same thing, and I had to do that yesterday. And sometimes we have to do that with the help of others. That could be your friend, that could be a stranger, that could be someone in your community. Community is very important. That's a word that we use a lot in Christianity, in the sense that you have to have a community that will be there to support you, whether it's one person or one team. Now, let me show you what the baptism was like. Have a great day. Daughter, Morgan, to celebrate a special moment with her. I'm going to read Morgan's testimony. Growing up, Morgan was in a religiously broken and abusive family. She often found that her closest friends and families carried relationships with Christ. For a long time, she decided that there was no realistic way for her to have that relationship, and chose to believe in no greater purpose for life. During this time, she struggled with major anxiety, depression, and suicide. She began attending any church with friends in an attempt to feel more connected after seriously contemplating ending her life. Mormon, Catholic, Christian, anything just to attempt to fit in somewhere. Her prayer relationship grew a bit. However, she did not fully understand what it meant to walk in faith and be a true believer. This past year, my wife Julie and I were extremely lucky to have Morgan with us under her wing in a devastating life event, and made her realize that being a follower in faith is not about attending church every Sunday and going home to a routine. It's about building a continuous forgiving and loving relationship, laying everything out for Him, to hold and allowing yourself grace in order to feel joy in the lowest and highest moments. She learned that a lot of her anxiety and depression was distrust in her relationship with Christ. Prayer has become more special and powerful in her life, and she knows that she is a follower of Christ. She sees blessings in her life every day and knows that she will never go without. She loves the person that He is leading her to be. As stated in Matthew 16:27, for the Son of Man will become in the glory of His Father with His angels, and then He will reward each according to his works. She promises to live by the will of God, walking in faith, and by faith to receive His promises. Madigan, do you have a real relationship with Jesus Christ?
Yes, I do.
I baptize you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Raised in a real relationship with Jesus